when a person solves a problem, he or she doesn't solve a problem only in one sector. So, grassroots innovations can teach you across sectors, across disciplines, across worldviews. And that is the power that these metaphorical, I always say that you can learn from innovation at 4 levels. You can learn from that at artifactual level, analogic level, heuristics, and gestalt. These are the 4 levels of abstraction. The more you abstract, the more wider it becomes, it has applicability. In science, we are moving towards systems biology. In engineering, we are moving towards systems perspective. In philosophy, we are moving towards holistic philosophy. In health, we are talking about holistic health. We will have to bring connections across boundaries, across sector, across spaces, across seasons, across social sections, across skills. Now, we have an example of Bhishma and we have an example of Arjun. When Dronacharya asked them to look at the wooden bird hanging on a tree to aim, and he was taking an archery test, Bhishma said, Yudhishthira said, I can look at the whole cosmos of this. Earth is a part of which this archery man. Arjun said, I only look at the eye of the bird. We need both. We need reductionist people who only know more and more about less and less. We also need people who know less but about all the connections. So transdisciplinary is about making connections, embedded connections, not just finding what effect happens on one system when you change another system. That is what was happening in multidisciplinary research. But transdisciplinarity is where we look into the connections, and through these lenses we see our problem. And hopefully we will solve problem with less what economists call it as externality. Pollution is, for the economist, is an externality, but for a transdisciplinary person, it is part of the production system. Right. It is not something external to it. That's the difference between. Multidisciplinary person will also look at the pollution problem, but they will look at it as something outside the system. I would wish that a teacher who innovates in the classroom, a scientist who converts an ordinary microscope into a fluorescent microscope so that TB organism can be identified in a primary health center, which cannot be done without a fluorescent microscope. When a biologist or an agriculture scientist looks at why certain diseases and pests affect some plants and not affect others in the same field, how do plants develop immunity? So you see now the questions that are being asked and the solutions that are coming up may address one part of the problem, but the ability to understand those answers in a multiple context is what transdisciplinary will do. So when we will solve societal problems by identifying the unmet needs and the unfelt need, this is what I want to bring into the classroom. That students must learn through immersive process. They must experience. Voluntarily they should suffer. And I call it some Vedana. Some means equal, Vedana means pain. When I see your pain as my own, it becomes my pain. And then through Swanta Sukhaya, that means for my own happiness, I try to find a Sajanshilta, a solution. Social innovations are not being developed to solve somebody else's problem. If they are being developed to solve my own problem, the pain from which I suffer myself, that kind of emergence of solutions is what I would wish the center to do.